Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about 3 books that you can really sink your teeth into. And trust me, these books want to sink their teeth into you. Bwahaha. Was that cheesy? Let me know if you think that was too cheesy. I kind of like cheesy, what can I say? But either way, we have books in here from 2011, one that just came out and one that's going to be a pre-order. So we have a little bit of the past, a little bit of the present, and a little bit of the future. And all 3 of these are books you'll want to read. But first, as always, I want to remind you that I have books for sale. And if you want to read any of the books you see on the screen, simply click the link in the description. And if you choose to do that, I want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoy them. Alright, let's get this video started. Alright, so the first book I want to talk about today did come out in 2011. And it's called Bedbugs by Ben Winters. If you are scared of bugs or insects, this book is going to give you a case of the heebie-jeebies. Trust me on that. I'm not even scared of bugs or insects. I love bugs and insects. And yet this one still made my skin crawl. It's about a family with a young daughter who moves into their dream apartment. It's a nice apartment. It's bigger than where they're living. They can afford it, a nicer neighborhood, and at a really good price. So they move in and they have this landlady. She's kind of eccentric, but she seems to be a typically nice older woman. She really loves their kid, you know, and she's willing to fix any of the minor things that might be wrong with their apartment and things like that. She just seems normal, if a little bit off sometimes. But one morning, the wife wakes up with some marks on her skin. Doing some research, she realizes there are bug bites, and there has been an epidemic going around in this town that's been all over the news. However, nobody else is experiencing it. Like, they can see the bites on her arms, but they think it's something else. An exterminator comes in, declares that they are bed bug free. There are no bed bugs. And yet, these attacks on her keep getting worse and worse and worse, leaving these ugly scars and welts and sores that she can't stop itching and scratching all the time, causing her skin to peel and bleed. And she can see the bed bugs out of the corner of her eye, but nobody else can. So it's really a case of, is something wrong with her mentally? Does she have some kind of psychological defect that is making her see these things? Or is it something much more malevolent? And that's really the secret of this story. Is it real or is it not? But once we do find out, things are going to get much more terrifying and much more creepy when we finally realize what is going on. This book is going to give you a case of the creepy crawlies. It is, of course, about bed bugs, and that's something nobody else wants to think about. But definitely check out the link in the description and pick up your copy of Bedbugs. Don't pick up Bedbugs themselves. Just pick up the copy of the book, though. And next we have a book that just came out in April, I believe, at the latter part of April, called The Gentleman's Choice by Blake Rudman. Now, this book is billed as a noir thriller, and it is that. But trust me when I say it might not be specifically in the horror category, but this book is a slasher. It really is a slasher at its heart, and it's a damn fine one. This concerns an internet-only TV show that people pay to watch called The Gentleman's Choice. It's got a guy on there who claims he's a millionaire looking for true love. And every week they have a different girl trying to win his affections. People pay to watch online, and the whole point of this is it's part dating show, part reality show, and part pornography. Because if a girl makes it all the way through 5 dates throughout the course of the week, they get to have sex on camera, and that's really what people are paying for. Come on. It's the internet. That's what it's all about. So it's kind of this sleazy take on between Love Island and a porno kind of movie. But the thing is, some past contestants, some past women who have been contestants are starting to get kidnapped and starting to get murdered in very bloody, horrific ways. And so on the behest of the family of one of the victims, a female private investigator decides to go undercover on this internet reality show, act as a contestant to see what she can uncover. But what makes this a slasher is that this author does not flinch away from those acts of brutality that are being given to these contestants who, from the past, who are being kidnapped. They're being tortured horrendously before being mutilated and murdered. And this is being done by a couple, a woman who is in full dominatrix gear, so we never really get to see her, and her assistant, who is a man dressed in full gimp gear. So there is that BDSM element to it. But this is a slasher because the bloodshed in here, the scenes of torture, the scenes of torment are all vividly told. It's right there in your face, and you can't help but be frightened by the brutality of these acts. And yes, there is a mystery behind it. Yes, it is noirish, and yes, it is gritty, just as promised. But trust me, I've seen enough slashers and read enough slashers to know that this would have fit right into that category. Trust me, this is more slashery than some books that are supposed to be horror, and yet it's not even billed really as a horror, but more as a thriller. And so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Don't let that stop you from reading it. Yes, I know the title sounds like the name of a romance novel, The Gentleman's Choice, but trust me, this book is excellent. Its scenes of carnage and bloodshed are amazingly well done and unflinching, as I said. And there is a mystery because there's no shortage of people who could be responsible for these killings, either on the show or anybody who's watching from the internet, you know, which makes it hard to narrow down. But we're going to find out all those secrets as the book goes on, and there are twists in there that you won't see coming. So whatever you do, you can pick up a copy of this book now, and there is a link down below to Amazon where you can do so. And get yourself one of the best slashers that's not really a slasher according to them. You can pick that up today. The Gentleman's Choice. And finally, we have a book that's not coming out until October, but you can pre-order it and you really want to. This is called Feeders by Caleb Stevens. Oh man, think of Stephen King's, the creatures in Stephen King's story, The Langoliers, mixed with the movie Tremors. Think of that and you kind of get the idea of what the creatures in this book, what these feeders are. So it is a creature feature, but these are more than just giant worms coming out of the ground. This is also an apocalyptic tale, except at the beginning of the book we are in the present. So it doesn't start out after the events have happened. We are there with the characters as these feeders are discovered and as they start coming out of the ground and start being widespread everywhere, causing death and destruction and you know, basically taking over the world. But it's also a family drama. It's got some a father who was in prison. He escapes. He kidnaps his daughter and son to supposedly take him to a bunker he built where they would be safe. But the man might be a little crazy. He might be a little dangerous, and we don't know if what he is saying is actually true through most of this book. And there's this great sense that you shouldn't believe him. There are reasons why this book will convince you that what he's saying is not true, but then things will happen that make you think perhaps it is true. So it's a really interesting family dynamic there with the daughter, the older daughter, hating their father for what he did to put him in prison, and her trying to forget about him all these years, never answering a letter from him from prison, never going to visit him, pretending like he didn't exist. Then he shows up one day and kidnaps her with handcuffs, and she is frightened out of her mind because she thinks he's a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like he has completely lost the plot. But our feelings of certain characters are going to change as the book goes on, and you'll have to read about that. And along the way, they have, you know, because of the events that are happening, you got people who will be friendly, people who will act friendly but are not, really have ulterior motives like in any good apocalypse, and the people who, once there are no more rules, their inner animals will just come out and they'll become the worst human beings ever. We'll meet some of those as well as the events start to unfold. But this is a very scary, action-packed, fast-paced creature feature, and yeah, This book is effective in every sense of the word, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's going to be a great one to read around that Halloween time, you know. Got to have yourself a little creature feature in there, and this one fits the bill. And as always, you can check out the link down below and pre-order your copy of Feeders by Caleb Stevens at that link. Alright, so there are 3 horror novels that I think you need to read, from the past, from the present, from the future, and the things, and the creatures, and the slashers, and you got all the things there that you would love in a horror book. So please do check them out. Check out all my links down below. And as always, thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.